Well, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Halloween 2021 is nearly over, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for this to be over. When the identity of your channel is pretty much Halloween, and all your viewers really care about is Halloween. And, all your viewers really want you to talk about is Halloween. And the fact that it is the Halloween season, it can get kind of crazy. I mean, the Halloween season now is no longer October, it's September and October. I mean, 10 years from now, it might be August, September, October. I mean, who the hell knows? If Walmart can start putting out their Christmas decorations in July, we can start celebrating Halloween in August. Am I right? Please, let's not fucking do that. So let's rise above and be better than them, okay? I love Halloween. I do. I'm a Halloween guy. You know that. I'm a Halloween guy. I'm a Halloween fan. I like Halloween. This goes back long before YouTube even existed. I was putting on little Halloween shows. When I got too old to trick or treat, I was putting on Halloween shows at my house, and we had fog machines, and I was doing it with Bruce, and I would dress up as Michael Myers, and we'd have all sorts of shit going on and characters, and it was great. I love Halloween. I love Halloween. Fall's my favorite time of year. I love Halloween. But you know what I'm saying? So, I love you guys. Okay. It's time to rank the Halloween franchise. Now, I've done this a couple of times. The last time I did it, I believe, was in 2019, and I only ranked the original Michael Myers films, excluding Rob Zombie's films and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but included Halloween 2018 because it was connected to the 1978 film. That's what I did. Those videos are on my channel. Well, this time I'm going to rank all the Halloween films. All 12, baby. All 12. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and both Rob Zombie's movies. So that's what I'm going to do. But here's the thing. Here's what you have to understand. As many of you know, I like to talk about what the measuring stick is, right? Whenever I am comparing something or doing a top 5 or a top 10 or a best this, a best that, a most iconic this, a most iconic that, whatever the case is, and I don't do too many of them. But whenever I do talk about them or I get questions from you guys in that kind of regard, I always turn the question back on you and I say, well, what are we measuring? Like, what's the measuring stick? How am I coming to this conclusion, right? And I'll give you an example. So a couple of years ago, I did the top 5 most iconic houses in horror on my channel. But, if you're a Halloween fan, you're likely to say, the Myers house. If you're an Elm Street fan, you would be likely to say, the Elm Street house. And I'm like, well, is there a way we can really remove our emotional attachment from this and try to look at this a little more objectively? So I came to the conclusion that the measuring stick was going to be, what is a house in horror that the average person on the street would recognize? Not a horror fan, not a fan of that particular franchise or movie, but just the average person on the street. Because if the average person on the street can recognize that house, that tells you then that the house has transcended the horror genre, right? And I came to the conclusion that the most popular or most iconic house in horror would be the Psycho house. And to give you an example of that, my girlfriend said she wouldn't be able to pick out the Myers house in a lineup, but she'd be able to pick out the Psycho house. You know what I'm saying, right? So that's how I came to, that's the measuring stick, right? And there's many different ways that you can measure it, right? Most popular, most have the most movies, the coolest looking, there's so many different things that you could do, right? So for me, I came to the conclusion that this list was going to be based on just what I enjoy, how I just enjoy watching the movies. It's not based on the masks. It's not based on the music or any cool aesthetic or certainly not the original intent of the character and the mythology and Myers and the whole point of the original movie. Because if that was the case, then this would be my list right here. I mean, really, at the end of the day, the sheer fact that Halloween 2 from 1981, which, spoiler alert, is my favorite sequel, by the way, and still is to this day, the sheer fact that that movie exists negates the whole point of Halloween, okay? As much as I love it, it negates the whole point of Halloween. So I can't measure it in the same ways. I can't use the same measuring stick, if you know what I mean. So if we're talking about the original intent of Myers and everything, well, there you go. There's my ranking. And I know there's people watching right now going,
"Oh, Dave, you're such a buzzkill. You're so annoying."
Whatever the hell that was. So how am I ranking the franchise now, right? There's the original and then there's the franchise, right? So it is just purely based on my enjoyment watching it. The good, the bad, the ugly. So some of these, the order in which you see some of these might surprise you. Maybe not, but they might surprise you. So let's go over, folks. Let's go over to my list. My list. Dave McRae's ranking list. That's the measuring stick for which Dave just enjoys watching the movies. Okay, that's what it is. This is a franchise here. Here is the list, ladies and gentlemen. The moment you've all been waiting for. Has it been the moment you've all been waiting for? Probably not. The moment we've been waiting for is you to shut the hell up. Anyway, so here we go. Okay, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Your Halloween franchise ranking brought to you by Dave McRae here on this October the 31st, 2021, Halloween day. Remember, this is not in order for which I think are the best movies, although the first few there are certainly, certainly the first one or the first few can definitely take that. This is just pretty much how I enjoy watching them, I guess, if I was going to watch them. But I have to be honest with you, full disclosure, I rarely, and I mean rarely, watch anything past 4. I mean, I'm dead serious. Last night I did a Saturday movie night where we watched Halloween H2O for my patrons. It's on my channel now because it goes up for everybody after the live feed is done. And I'll be honest with you, that's the first time I've watched Halloween H2O from start to finish, probably in over a decade. And I'm dead serious. I don't watch the later sequels that I don't like very often at all, because why would I? I don't like them, right? So to be fair, I watch Halloween 1 a lot. I watch it every year, of course. I watch Halloween 2. I'll pop in 4 from time to time. I do like 4. And that's kind of where it ends for me. And then, Halloween 18, of course, I have a better appreciation for now because of kills, but anyway, so let's go through it. Top left, no surprise, it's the OG, it's the original. Halloween is the champion for all the reasons you know it to be for me. It's kind of a default there. There hasn't been one that has sort of eclipsed it to me. Halloween 2 from 1981 is number 2. And, Darren Sands from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast said something the other day on his show that was bang on, and I agree with him. And of course, it's our opinions only, but Halloween 2 from 1981 is the only sequel, in my opinion, and in his, that has been able to capture the essence, to get close enough to capturing the essence of the original film. Now, I've often said that Halloween 2 is far inferior to the original. I believe that to this day. But because it was, it came out in 1981, which is only 3 years removed from 1978, the look, the production value, the quality of the image, it feels like it lives in the same universe. Yes, it's more of a splatter film to capitalize on the success of Friday the 13th and where the horror subgenre or where the slasher subgenre was going at that time. But certainly it feels connected to have it pick up immediately where the first one left off. It feels connected. It feels like one movie with 2 separate parts. Yeah, there's some differences there for sure. But, again, same time period relatively. And you've got the same DP as well. So it feels connected. You can watch it. You don't have to watch it. Certainly you can watch the original Halloween for in its original intent, I should say, which is just kind of, that's it. He falls off the balcony, he's gone, and that's it. But you can connect the two with Halloween 2, and it can be kind of fun. Halloween 4 is in my number 3 spot. I like watching this movie because of I think they do a good job, even though the aspect ratio is different, they do a good job in terms of, the cool aesthetic, that cool blue lighting. And folks, when I say cool blue lighting, I'm not talking about drenching your entire picture in blue, like there's a blue hue over everything. The light source has to be justified, okay? Some people, I think, early on mistakenly thought that I meant somehow that there should just be this blue hue over everything. I don't mean that, the light source has to be justified. But instead of instead of more of a warm tungsten balanced, light source, more of the cool blues and the cool sort of autumn feel. It's the Midwest, and you certainly get that in Halloween 4, and it's always fun to watch because of that. The mask is garbage. Loomis is great. George P. Wilbur is, and all that. But you know what? I think it's the best sequel probably still to this day outside of when we're talking about it from a franchise perspective. I think it's probably the best sequel outside of Part 2 in regards to Michael Myers to this day. But it doesn't have anything to do with the original intent, of course. And then in my number 4 spot is Halloween 2018. I've come to appreciate this movie a lot more now since Halloween Kills came out. I still have the issues I have always had with it, I still have with it, but I think it is a better made movie than Halloween Kills, structurally, script-wise, pacing, dialogue. It's just an all-around better made film. I still have the issues I have with it, but it's just a better movie. And it of course, aligns itself, I should say, more in line with the original intent. So it's always cool to watch a more grounded Halloween film. And Jamie Lee Curtis's performance is great, and the soundtrack is fucking amazing and all that kind of stuff. So it's in my number 4 spot. This really was sort of my list like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it's pretty much has not changed. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is in my number 5 spot. Ladies and gentlemen, what is there to say that hasn't been said about this already? It's fun. It's fun to watch. I enjoy it, and I love the poster and the silhouettes and of the kids there. And, I think it's a really cool story. And I have a feeling that if they are going to move on with the Halloween franchise away from Michael Myers, this is your opportunity here. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. You can either reboot it, you can, remake it all together, do a direct sequel, but it's low risk. And I mean, relatively speaking, it's low risk because it already has a built-in fan base. So, that's something that I think they're going to explore heavily after Halloween ends. But I enjoy it, and I'm totally open for a complete remake. I know there's some people out there that's blasphemous, but for me, I don't like the movie that much, so I'd be okay. And if they did do a remake, it's going to be probably a soft reboot like Halloween 18 was anyway. It's a remake, but it's a sequel. But it's a remake, but it's a sequel. It's a remake, but it's a sequel. I have a feeling they're probably going to do that. In my number 6 spot is Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers. It's a dog shit movie. It's absolutely terrible. It's a terrible movie. But what do I enjoy watching about it? Well, again, it's got that fall autumn vibe to it. And Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance, his last performance as Michael Myers psychiatrist, and he's better in this movie than he is in Halloween 5. So I certainly enjoy watching him in this movie, and there's some great shots. There's some great moments. That cool Midwest October vibe is definitely there. And that's kind of as far as it goes for me. And I don't care if it's the theatrical cut or the producer's cut, it's dog shit. I don't care if it's a dog shit pizza or a slice of dog shit pizza. It's still dog shit. You're still eating poo. And I just didn't like the direction that they took it. This was the first Halloween movie I ever saw in the movie theater back in 1995. I was 16 years old, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. And I like to bust its balls, of course. But like most of the bad movies in this franchise, I can always find redeeming qualities. Like, that's a good shot. That's a good moment. Oh, that's really cool. Like in a vacuum, I can find things that I like. It's the whole, it's the entire picture and the story that I just think is terrible. And I didn't like the direction that they took it. But I can watch it and have fun with it, like, we all can with movies that we don't particularly favor. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, my number 6. In my number 7 spot right now, could go up or down depending on what happens with ends, is Halloween Kills. Well, if you want to know my thoughts on this, I have quite a few videos on my channel where I'm talking about my likes, my dislikes, and the movie as a whole, and how I approach the film and all that kind of stuff. I was disappointed with Halloween Kills at the end of the day. I think I was really pleased with the first 15 minutes of the movie, and then it just it's that middle part that just doesn't work for me. It's disjointed, the pacing's off, the dialogue is just way over the top, overselling. The characters, the legacy characters are underutilized. It's so unfortunate that they just came back to just basically, say, hey, remember them? And there's a lot of issues with this film. And I've talked about it ad nauseum on my channel in the other videos where I've talked about them. So you can definitely go over there and get all the nitty gritty details of what that is. But I don't hate the movie. I mean, I don't think it's the worst film of all time, and I certainly don't think it's the worst sequel in the franchise. But I need to say that I'm disappointed with it because I think it could have been so much better. What they did well, but this was a film that just was all over the place in terms of its tone and its feeling and its pacing and I don't think it knew what kind of movie it wanted to be. But nonetheless, there are some really cool moments in there. I appreciate the return back to the cool aesthetic and the cool tone of the Midwest and the more blues and the pale whites the more whites and the pale blues, I should say. I appreciated that more and the mask looked great. Courtney was great. He's continuing to solidify his legacy as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Michael Myers of all time. He was terrific. The music was great. It's the story and the characters that, where it falls apart. And if you don't have a good story or characters, or, it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be Shawshank Redemption, but it just felt very inconsistent from where we started. Halloween 18 is a better movie overall, in my opinion. So in my number 8th spot is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Some of you are now thinking, you put it ahead of H2O? I do. I enjoy watching 5 more than I enjoy watching H2O, and I'll explain to you why. 5 is a terrible movie. 5 is one of the worst movies in the entire fucking franchise. It's terrible, and you guys know that. I like to bust 5's balls all the time. But I can enjoy, there's qualities in it that I can enjoy that the other films in the rest of the list here do not have. And one of them being Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis is fucking crazy in this movie. He's crazy in this movie. He's insane. He's drunk. He falls over in the quote unquote Myers house, whatever the hell that was, and he's like, oh. You know what I mean? It's like he's crazy in this movie. He's crazy, but it's Donald Pleasance and it's Dr. Loomis, and it's always fun to watch him on screen. He commands a certain presence even though he's inebriated. Did not like Don Shanks' portrayal as Michael Myers. No disrespect to Don Shanks, just not my vibe. Didn't like the mask, obviously. Danielle Harris, with what she was given to do, she knocked it out of the park. It was disappointing that Rachel kicked the bucket early on. That was disappointing. That fucking sucked. But there's some decent, albeit not nearly as good as part 4, but a few decent moments of that fall kind of vibe. But overall, it's terrible. I don't like the Man in Black. We know now, we've known for quite some time that was thrown in there just to give some sort of mystery subplot. The director himself had no fucking idea who the Man in Black was or how it was going to connect to the overall bigger picture, because I'm paraphrasing, but he's on record as saying, well, that's not up to me. That's up to those who do part 6. No, that's up to fucking you. You don't have to explain it, but you as the director and or the writer should know the purpose of what you're putting into your film. You cannot just arbitrarily throw shit in there that doesn't make any sense and leave it to other people to figure out. That's the wrong way to continue a story or a franchise. Anyway, it's a terrible movie, but I enjoy watching it because I like busting its balls. So again, it's just enjoyment factor. It's just enjoyment factor, right? There's many different reasons why you can enjoy watching a movie. In my number, where are we? 6, 7, 8, 9. In the 9th spot is Halloween H2O. Why do I have it so low on my list? Folks, I understand that for many of you out there, this is a fan favorite. This could be your favorite Halloween movie. This could be your favorite Halloween sequel. And some of the reasons for that could be that it was the first Halloween movie you ever saw. It could be that it was the first Halloween movie you ever saw in the movie theater. This could have been your introduction to Michael Myers, and therefore there's a lot of nostalgia around it. I get it. It came out at a time where there was a bit of a slasher resurgence in the mid to late 90s, mostly thanks to Scream. This is 98. This came out, right around, there's Scream 2, there's I Know What You Did Last Summer, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and Halloween H2O, and there was a huge resurgence here. And if you were born in the late 80s, this was probably your first introduction to the character. So I understand that there is a nostalgic love for it. But as I've always said, it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. It doesn't look like a Halloween movie. It looks like Michael Myers walked onto the set of Dawson's Creek. And I just, I'm not a fan of Chris Duran's portrayal of the Shape. Again, nothing against him personally. I just didn't like the way he had the right size for sure. He had the right stature and size and height, but I just didn't like the way he walked or the way he stood. I wasn't a fan of the mask at all, and certainly the mask changes multiple times from shot to shot in one scene, because it's the old mask and then the new one with the reshoots, and then there's the CGI debacle and that whole fucking thing, and it's just and the music. It's not Halloween music that we've come to know. It's more orchestra and big brass and it's it looks like a Scream movie. Really, it does. And there's obvious reasons for that. Kevin Williamson, anybody? It's not a bad movie. Again, it's competently made. It's not a bad movie. It's just not a Halloween movie. It doesn't feel or look or sound anything like Halloween. So but the reason why I put it ahead of the other three here you see in the list is because of Laurie Strode. I think her arc is clearly defined here. Now, we've yet to see the completion of Laurie Strode's arc in the new films, Halloween 18 Kills and Ends. So we have to reserve our judgment until we see Ends, because who knows what's going to happen there. But judging by this movie only, yes, she has a clearly defined arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end. She's afraid, she's ran away, and now she's facing her demons. And she's the best thing about this movie. She is the best thing about this movie. I didn't like the fact that you saw his eyes through the mask and the head chopping and all that. I mean, all that. But her arc and the way she's, the way she is portrayed here is the best thing about the entire film. So that's I live vicariously through that, I guess. In my number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in the 10th spot is Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. I'm not a fan of Rob Zombie. Nothing personal to Rob Zombie. I don't mean I don't like him personally. He could be a fucking amazing guy you want to have a beer with. But I'm just not a big fan of his movies. It's just not my style, not my taste. I'm not into the whole, white trash, trailer trash. It just seems like that's an angle he always has with his films. It's just not for me. And although it is a competently made movie, wasn't a fan of giving an explanation for the backstory and I'll crawl over there and skull, fuck you, bitch, and the language. I get why it's there, but it just was the polar opposite of what made Michael so effective in the first film from 1978. So I just wasn't a big fan of his portrayal. However, or his interpretation of the story, I should say. However, I will say that the mask was probably the best it looked in this movie in quite some time. So I enjoy watching that. Tyler Mane is obviously 6'8" and probably 250 pounds or something. He's a force to be reckoned with. So he's got definitely, he commands a presence, which is always kind of cool to watch. The soundtrack's not bad either. It's more of a grittier kind of soundtrack. But overall, it's just it's not my Halloween. It's not my taste of a movie, period. It's not generally the movies that I favor. So, but I put it here because I want to give credit where credit is due. And that is, he didn't just do a complete remake. He didn't just do a carbon copy. He made it his own thing. He made it his own thing. And you have to give credit where credit is due for that. And you know what? Kudos, man. He did that, and that's why it's here in my number 10. In terms of enjoyment, right? In terms of enjoyment, Rob Zombie's Halloween, if I was ranking it based on other criteria, that might move up or down depending on the criteria for which we're ranking. But for me, the only reason why it's below H2O is because of Laurie Strode, because of Jamie Lee Curtis. The nostalgic connection to the original first two films, you can really feel in H2O, and that carries the film for me. It's absent, obviously, in Rob Zombie's remake. And then number 11, I was going to say 9. It's the 9th movie, but it's it's the 8th movie, I guess. Chronologically. But anyway, it is number 11 here is Halloween Resurrection. Why is it ahead of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Halloween Resurrection is a dumpster fire. It's an absolute dumpster fire. Why is it ahead of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Well, because of the tiny little microscopic, and it's very microscopic, essence that it somehow is connected to the rest of the series. The story is garbage. It's dated. Jamie Lee Curtis is just phoning it in the first, 10 minutes of this movie. It's just terrible. I mean, it's just terrible, but it's a serviceable slasher movie. You take the fact that I mean, take Michael Myers out of it and just have it, it's a serviceable slasher movie, but in terms of a Halloween movie, it too doesn't feel like a Halloween movie, doesn't look like a Halloween movie. I mean, sure, they rebuilt the Myers house in a soundstage in Vancouver, but it doesn't, it's terrible. Busta Rhymes, trick or treat, motherfucker. It's just, what does he say? It was a cut scene. He's like, you, big ass ball busting chick, or whatever he says to the girl there. Anyway, it's terrible. I've talked about it ad nauseum. You know why I think it's bad. It's my number 11 here. And then my number 12, my least most enjoyable watch for me is Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But again, I can understand why certain people really like watching this movie. I totally understand. It's different. He's doing his own thing, and you got to give credit where credit is due. But it's too avant-garde. It's too avant-garde for me to really enjoy it from any sort of perspective. However, I will say, like most people say, that opening with the hospital and Octavia Spencer and the whole thing there and the rain and the thunder and the chase is fucking fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. The mood, the atmosphere, the suspense, it is great. It's so unfortunate that the rest of the movie wasn't like that, and that was a dream, because that was great. That was great. But I am not a fan of the avant-garde approach that he took to Halloween 2. But I tip my hat and give credit to him because, hey, like I said, he didn't just do a carbon copy of Halloween 2 from 1981 full of fan service. It is its own thing. It's its original own thing. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. Anyways, folks, there you have it. That is my ranking of the Halloween franchise based on enjoyment, how I enjoy watching the movies. Did anything surprise you there? Comment below and let me know your thoughts. There's many different ways that we can rank them, right? There's many different ways, including like what we think is the best in terms of quality of movies, like script and structure and characters and all that kind of stuff. That's another way that you can rank them. You can rank them based on masks, music, remnants of the OG. But that's real, like hardcore, hard into the paint, deep cut shit, which I could totally do. But for the sake of getting this up in time for Halloween, I thought, you know what? Let me just approach this from what do I enjoy? Just the good, the bad, the ugly, all that kind of stuff. And that's the criteria. That's the measuring stick I chose here. Anyways, comment below and let me know your thoughts. Let me know your ranking in the comment section below. But also make sure you put a little blurb if you can, if you've made it this far in the video and you're still watching, the criteria that you've chosen. What's the measuring stick you've chosen that has allowed yourself to come to the conclusion that you have for your list? Because I think that makes it kind of fun and interesting. It adds some context and perspective. So let me know your thoughts on there. My name is Dave McRae. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can. There's the Facebook there. There's the Instagram there. There's the Twitter there. All my links are in the description, including links to my official websites and IMDb and anyway, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all down there. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That will do it for me. Happy Halloween. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.